Our last speaker is up next, Michelle Connor. She's an account manager for our program from working for Western Massachusetts area. She obviously is going to talk to us about cooling systems. If you have any questions, we'll take those at the end. And unfortunately, David Ruggiero, who just spoke, was feeling ill and had to go home, but he left a bunch of business cards. So if anyone wants to ask him questions that we can't answer on the spot, you could certainly send him an email and he'd be happy to get back to you. So here's Michelle.
Thank you, Sarah. It's so exciting for me to be able to present this to you guys because prior to being an energy efficiency consultant, I worked for many, many years selling heating and cooling systems to home builders. And as you can see, I modified the name of this presentation because I figured, what the heck, it's like a dream come true that I would actually have a large number of builders kind of locked in a room where I could actually get them to listen to all the effort and due diligence that really needs to go into a system when you're designing it in order to get basically what you're paying for. You know, it's one of the most expensive systems that goes into a house. So, you know, you're planning, you're budgeting to spend that money anyway, so you might as well get a system that works the way it should, opposed to one that doesn't. So basically, I'll go through the Energy Star Performance Path, which is a nice guide to help you shop smarter. So you'll get two things by following the Energy Star Performance Path. You'll get what you need in order to earn the Energy Star and to provide your rater with certain information. And you'll also get a system that works as best as it possibly can. So here is the Performance Path guidelines. And actually, there's a white paper that's being passed out. And it has this guideline on there. And you'll read through it once, twice. I've read through it 20 times. And even the raters keep coming back to me because it's quite ambiguous. It doesn't read easy. It's not really easy to understand how this is going to help you and how you're going to assess whether or not a system is actually sized right and performing as efficiently as it can. So I'm just going to point out a few things that will help you do that. The first thing is, of course, your manual J load calculation. The second thing is a manual S load calculation, which will actually choose equipment based on that load. The third thing that's very important is your outdoor design temperatures. This could be anywhere in Massachusetts for our climate zone between 81 and 88 degrees. So that's very important in sizing systems, as well as your indoor design temperature. 75 degrees is what is recommended for Energy Star or required. And then your infiltration rate. You guys are Energy Star builders, you're building tight homes, and that does make a difference in your sizing. This is your roadmap. In all the years that I actually did do sales of heating and cooling systems, I rarely ever got a scope of work. And this really loads all the work you need to do in the front of your bidding process. So your scope of work really outlines right up front what you need your contractor to do in order to A, meet the guidelines, and B, get a system that's as efficient as it could be. And when I say as efficient as it could be, I'm talking about the way the system was actually designed to work by the manufacturers, and it's been tested to work. It's one thing to buy an Energy Star piece of equipment that has that logo on it, but it's another thing to put all those parts together and actually have it perform the way the manufacturer intended. So the first thing you need to do in creating a scope of work is to inform the contractor that you are building an Energy Star home. Right off the bat, that kind of sets you apart from some other builders, and he should inquire about what an Energy Star home is, or do some research, or get a better understanding that you're a different type of builder and you have different requirements. So that's extremely important. The other thing you would do is outline the specific AC guidelines and best practices. So you would require in that outline that a manual J and S in 8th edition, that's the most recent version, that load calculation be performed room by room and presented with a proposal. And when I did bids and estimates, I never would show my manual J-load calculation with the bid. It was there, it was behind the system design, but it was kind of kept a secret. You know, I didn't want to give it away. I didn't want the builder to, share it with any competing contractors because I did the work, and why should they reap the rewards of my work? So actually that kind of became a problem because many times systems were sized larger than mine, and home builders are often under the impression that bigger is better and you get more for your money. But that's not the case. It's good to let the contractor know that you will be requiring this with the proposal. That also gives you the opportunity to either work with your HERS rater or assess the sizing of the equipment based on the manual J. And I'll teach you how to do that a little bit later. Require that the system be designed from architectural plans. This was something I always required. If somebody is giving you an estimate for a cooling system and they're not asking for plans, then they're not doing a manual J. And they're not sizing a system based on a calculated load. They're sizing it based on rule of thumb. To show you how, someone might walk in and say, I've been doing this house since 1970, it's 2,500 square feet, do 2 tons on the top floor, maybe 1.5 on the bottom floor, it works every time. It works, but it still could be oversized and it still could be inefficient. So, I would ask you, do you use the same products that you would have in 1970 building a house? And your answer would be no. Products have definitely improved, especially from an energy efficiency standpoint. So the loads on the house drop tremendously. Not to mention the fact that, again, you're an Energy Star home builder, so your building is actually quite different than some of the other buildings that he would size the same way. And that also stands true for houses that may be the same, but on different sides of the street. Your solar orientation will certainly change the load of a house. So even though you have these, identical houses, one right after the other, if a window is changed or your solar orientation is different, that will affect your loads and can affect the sizing of the house system.